she's happy with who she is.
Listen, you know, they always say get a breast reduction, do something with your nose, get something with your butt. Be you.
Right. Yeah.
Be
Absolutely.
you. Speaking of being them, the White House is at war with Fox News these days. Obama senior advisor David Axelrod says they're not a news organization, and that White House Communications Director Anita Dunn says they're, quote, opinion journalism masquerading as news. Fox says the White House efforts would be better spent on issues concerning voters.
Yeah, there are a lot of issues right now that should probably be talked about more than this. But this certainly hasn't started right now. I mean, when President Obama was on the campaign trail, there was definitely a war of words between his campaign and Fox News. Now, to call them not a news station, I think you have to really critically look at all the news now. I think it's highly opinionated at all the stations. And I think anyone who thinks otherwise is completely wrong. I think that there are opinions out there. I mean, look, we've all seen it. But there were times when, say, CNN or MSNBC didn't cover victories that our troops had in Afghanistan or Iraq. You know, they covered a percentage of other stories concerning, you know, attacks on Republican candidates, more than that. So I think that to just aim at Fox News, I think we're kind of edging on McCarthyism, and I think that's dangerous.
I heard this morning that on one of the shows, it said that when Bush was in office, it was kind of like a sub-Rosa idea not to go on MSNBC if you were with him. So this is just a more overt tactic of stay off of Fox, rather than the Bush administration, which was more subversive.
I don't understand why they would say that. That's one I'm a little confused about, why they would wage this war on Fox. I mean, I know Fox gives a lot more attention to stuff that I think is silly, is that birther movement stuff that you had on your show.
Yes.
On our HLN, that lady who's a dentist who led the birther movement.
Right. But they say that the Fox is really a wing of the Republican Party rather than being a news organization, that it's a mindset. And that's why they object to it. And they have every right to say what they say. The question is it effective? Is it effective?
No, I don't think it will be. In fact, I think it will call attention to the fact that they seem to be defensive and afraid of someone coming out and speaking up against the administration. And if that happens to happen on Fox, and it doesn't happen to happen on CNN or MSNBC, I think we need to look at it objectively.
I think at some point that there are times, and we've talked about this, where Fox is not doing themselves any good, because their point would be better served if they make the point, as opposed to some of the things that they tend to do, which is put stuff on top of it. They layer it, as opposed to saying, listen, this is what he's doing, we think it sucks.
This happens on, let's be honest.
We're just talking, well, right now we're just talking about Fox. That's why I'm talking specifically about Fox. I don't get my news oftentimes from any of the networks, because, you know, I'm from the Walter Cronkite generation, where they told you what was going on and you were left to make your decision. You were left to figure it out. How do I feel about this? Do I like this? It wasn't, this is what they're doing and you're going to die. It wasn't, you didn't get that.
You know, partly this new way of doing it is driven by ratings. I mean, it used to be that the news organizations didn't care about ratings. Now they do, which is why we saw that flying saucer for 3 hours, because they knew that people were riveted to the tube.
It's all about money.
So Fox wants ratings, and I think that this is not something they're defensive. I think it's an offensive attack. As a matter of fact, they're on the offense against Fox.
Silence someone who may have someone on that.
They're not trying to silence them
because you won't find it in other news stations.
No, but they're not silencing them. First of all, it's backfiring already, because Glenn Beck's numbers are up and Fox's numbers are up. So it's not really working. But those people who watch that channel are going to continue to watch it no matter what.
Let's be really clear about this. When we talk about Fox, we're not talking about Fox Television, okay? There is Fox News and there is Fox Television. Fox Television has The Simpsons and
So you think you can dance?
American Idol, so you think you can dance, and Fox News has the news.
The news.
Like MSNBC. It's equal to that.
What about, let me ask you this. Don't you think that in a way it's sort of edging on an attempt at censorship? Like, I certainly think it could edge that way.
They're not saying no one can watch it. They're saying we're not going to deal with you. That's what you can't turn it into McCarthyism or censorship. It is about the president and that in his group saying, we're not going to fool with you anymore.
Asking others to do the same, though, is
well, it's the same but as Joy pointed out, it's the same that Bush did when he was dealing with a lot of folks. He'd say, you know, you don't need to go on CNN. You don't need to do it.
Wasn't out there in the same way.
But being out there is a form of advertisement or sense. If you ask someone not to do something, if our president and his administration asks us not to watch a certain channel,
I don't know that they're saying that.
They asked us if he could come into our schools, and people, you know, there were some people who said, no, we're not going to have our kids there.
In any case, you haven't asked if we're coming back, but we are. Are we? Oh, yeah, we're coming back. And all of us are going to be right here when you come out the bathroom. Right. You'll see.
I had my ex-husband, who happens to play guitar in a rock and roll band, give my son, a 16-and-a-half-year-old, the sex talk. What was I thinking?
I'm always around these moms who say to me at the park, my child doesn't own a television. They know Italian and Mandarin. Well, my kid just learned English, and he barely knows that. So this Saturday I was sleeping, and I was tired. So I gave my son the remote control. I showed him how he could get Yo Gabba Gabba, the fresh beat bag.
Joy?
Yes, ma'am.
You have this insane lineup this week on your new show, do you not?
My new show at 9 o'clock on HLN every night. I have this great lineup this week. Well, first of all, we're doing a panel with divorced women, including Marla Maples and the woman whose husband left her for Tori Spelling, and Mrs. McGreevy, who he left her for a gay guy. Oh, yeah. Wow. Wendy Williams is coming on. She's very funny. Gorby Dahl. It's a very interesting potpourri. Ann Coulter, one of my favorite guests. And Susie Essman, one of my very close girlfriends. She's hilarious. So this is some week we have, and I hope you'll watch.
Well, what time?
9 o'clock on HLN and repeats at midnight.
Well, here's the interesting thing, because romance, and a daily news article says despite the Letterman scandal, workplace romances can work.
Yeah.
If you're cautious, they say, remember to keep personal dramas out of the workplace, and one that if one person is more powerful than the other, it could probably get a little bit out of hand. And I wonder if any of those women had that experience. But Sherry, you seem to think that this is a good idea.
Well, no,
what they're saying.
Because it was also saying that don't rule out having a workplace romance.